Welcome back to part 2 here at the Dream Big Summit with Margot Anand. Part 2 is going to be awesome. Part 1 was also amazing. Please watch the part 1 before you watch part 2. Techniques and tips of what you can do, bringing consciousness and aliveness and God into your breath, into your ecstatic being, into your sexuality. And I want to ask Margot one simple question before we get started here. What is your definition of Tantra?
My definition of Tantra is choose with awareness what brings you joy, and it will open the door to your spirit.
Okay, choose
with awareness, take a deep breath and have a real good look at your options and do it with awareness. What is the one that is going to be the best for you? And then whatever brings you joy, look at it, feel it, what's good for you. And if you choose with awareness what brings you joy,
yes.
It will open the door to your spirit.
I hear in it the whole concept of spirituality, which is all these teachings that asks people to step back from your life, become the observer, and it gives you that moment of seeing that you're not the actor. It's you become the consciousness that makes the choice. So that simple sentence really guides you into deep spiritual choosing rather than being reactive.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about some stories about how people have applied coming to Tantra and reviving themselves. Now, I wanted to ask you about being vibrant and in any age, right? And you have also a video that you can share with us on your website here. For all the people who have the video seeing it, you can see it. She's scrolling through her website, margotanand.com, and we're going to go start out with the video.
World of pink lotuses, of art, of meditation, of beautiful nature. Welcome to the world of Sky Dancing Tantra. Welcome to the world of Margot Anand. And in this website, I hope to take you on a journey through all the different aspects of my life. There are the trainings, the Sky Dancing Tantra trainings. There are the meditations and the meditation teachings. There are the books, the music, the paintings, nature, the love for Mother Gaia, and all that which I am about. And I hope that looking at this website, you will want to dive deep into understanding deeply what is awakening, what is growing to the full light of your soul and of your spirit. Come with me on a journey through the pink lotus, a journey to your soul.
I love that. Thank you, Margot. It puts us in touch with the sense and awareness that it's not about body, but it's about soul. Finding God in bed, such a juxtaposition. Most tantric teachings, actually, where did Tantra originate? I mean, what were the dakinis for? What were the monks doing? What were the tantric practices back in the old Buddhist days?
I went to see an extraordinary master and I asked him that same question, and I said, it seems like the scriptures about the old Tantra that I'm reading do not correspond to what you're saying. And that master was Osho Rajneesh, and it was in India. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, forget about all the old Tantra, they're dead. He says, here it's a new Tantra. It's alive, and it is the direct oral transmission of a master to the disciple that is sitting in front of him. And so Tantra started 5,000 years ago or more with the rishis in the Himalayas that were exploring enlightenment. And it started as a rebellion against the Brahmin tendency to feel like you had to renounce everything to find God. And in fact, Tantra taught, no, you are already divine. You have to dive deep into your senses and into your nature, and there you will find God and Goddess. And this is the Tantra that I have been exploring. And so, you know,
Yes.
my definition of Tantra is this: choose with awareness what brings you joy, and it will open the doors to your spirit.
I just got an insight. That is so beautiful. Can you repeat that again?
Yes, choose with awareness. So you have the word choosing and you have the word awareness. Okay. What brings you joy? There is no dutifulness. There is no, doing everything before you get to the dessert. There is no stress about, endless numbers of work and nothing joyful. No. Choose with awareness what brings you joy, and it will open the doors to your spirit.
Okay.
That's Tantra.
I
Skydiving
think,
Tantra.
okay. I mean, choose, like you said, with awareness, full presence. What do people don't even know how to bring awareness into everything? How do you tell us in a nutshell? I mean, this is a huge thing. It's the answer to my question that I asked you earlier. How do you stay so alive and young in everything that you're doing? I don't want to ask your age unless you want to volunteer. I personally love telling people my age because I think we set examples as to what's possible. But
Well, I don't like age because when I give an age, there's all these projections from everybody. So I like to say that I'm eternal.
Okay, so you run around with this concept, and that's true for me too. You are eternal. And so how do you keep young in that bodily aging process? And
it's very simple. It's very simple. I love what I do, and I do what I love.
yes.
So wherever I go and wherever I am, and I go around the world all the time, it's a party.
Yes.
My life is a party, and when it's not a party, then I get, to deal with the everyday life. And I did build a house in Bali, and it's a house by the sea, and it's wonderful, and it's away from phone towers and away from
Awesome.
traffic noise and away from, the usual. And
cool.
I'm not there very often, but I just, to love your life is
You
the thing.
do what you're.
Byron Katie once wrote a book called Circumstances, and I decided, even though it was very tempting, not to compromise with my values and to work for, the value that I was assigning to my work. And if not, then now I found myself with 2 months free in front of me. And this inner guidance, this inner voice told me, now is the time to look after your needs. Now is the time to look after yourself. You have 2 months to do that. The next day, a very dear friend walks in that you have interviewed named Dwaba. And she tells me about this miracle doctor who lives in India, has 3 clinics, and is a magician in setting people's articulations and their bones. And he tells me the story of a person who came in there on a wheelchair after 22 years in a wheelchair, and 3 weeks later she was walking, and she's now teaching yoga. So I heard more and more about this man and his English wife and about their 3 clinics, and I did what he told me. I had an MRI, and I sent him the MRI, and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm going there for 2 months. I will have 1 session a day, 2 hours on top of it, 2 hours of stretching, and on top of it, 2 hours of applying pastes made of mysterious jungle herbs that are put together by a grandmaster who lives in the jungle that he studies with.
Awesome.
So, and I'm going to be living by the beach. And now that I decided that, all the friends who walk in my house are all connected to Goa, and they're all going to Goa, and they know about Goa. And I'm like, okay,
you're going to have a party again.
Yeah.
So your sentence. So let's repeat that again. Okay. So the mantra the definition for Tantra for you is
choosing with awareness. Okay. Now I was in front of a very tempting thing.
Yes.
Working with people well connected in Bollywood to supposedly do a film on my book and whatever else. I really brought my awareness to this thing. I brought my awareness to check out the people, to check out the circumstances, to analyze the situation. Okay, so I chose with awareness. And at some point, I decided to drop it because it wasn't right for me.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't right. And I wanted to honor my set of values and not be tempted and distracted by, you know, the multi-forms of Maya, you know, do this, do that, we'll take care of you, we'll blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Okay, so
choose with awareness what
I
brings
chose
you
with awareness what would bring me joy, because I need to have new needs. Okay, new needs would certainly bring me joy because I could walk around the world much more easily, and so on and so forth.
And you brought, and from the moment you decided that, you brought in magical solutions. Is the moment you said, that's what I want.
Yeah, and people and friends.
Yes.
You know, and so that's a good, it's a good definition, I think.
Yeah, so choose with awareness what brings you joy, and do that. That will bring your tantric aliveness.
Open the doors. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Open the doors to your spirit. Open the doors to your spirit.
Okay. Okay.
That your spirit in the sense of your infinite potential.
Okay. So, and that is your recipe also for staying young and alive and doing your passion. It's what you apply to Tantra, is open your spirit, do what you choose with awareness, what brings you joy, to open your spirit. It's also what keeps you going step by step. What is it when you look at other people, the normal people who come maybe to your seminars or that you see on the street everywhere, how can they make the transition from having organized, orderly lives where they maybe aren't used to living the joy part, or asking themselves, what does bring me joy? How can they move from monotony or routine or something like that into the more creative, open flow reality of aliveness, like tantric aliveness, God aliveness, whatever it is? How can people move out of that into the more life force?
Well, first of all, that reminds me what you said about my last seminar in Berlin, where I had, I think, 60 or 70 people, and a friend brought a friend who had advanced stages of Parkinson's disease. And I looked in his eyes and I told in front of everybody, every person who comes to my seminar, whether sick or healthy, whether, you know, having any kind of disease or being completely normal, every person is, in my eyes, a normal person. So when we say, you know, when you say normal, yes. Well, everybody's normal. I'm normal, you're normal. We're just human beings on the planet doing our thing and helping each other.
Right.
So I took this guy on, and he was not able to stand still. He was shaking and, you know, rattle and rolling. He did the tantric exercises, and all of a sudden he was completely still and meditative.
Really?
Yeah. And so anyway, just a small example, but, you know, I would say that it's very difficult for us normal people in our everyday life to step out of the pressures of our habits. And so I recommend to people to go to a seminar, because there you're surrounded by people of like-mindedness that, you know, are interested in the same things. And so that lifts you off into the perspective of another potential, something that is possible there.
Absolutely.
And plus, you know, you might meet your soulmate over there. You know, you never know.
It's
Lots
true.
of people meet their soulmates in my trainings. I can tell you that. Lots of marriages take place. Lots of falling in love. I love that.
Yes. Well, because you teach.
Take a seminar. And then the next thing that I would say is related to a wonderful film I saw last night in Ubud, which was about the healing powers of yoga around the world. And this man could not walk, was completely sick, and started to practice the medical Iyengar yoga trainings.
Oh, man, strict.
And he, over months and years, healed himself. He was there presenting the film. And it was so amazing for me to see Maasai people in the middle of the jungle practicing yoga, and prisoners in their cells in solitary confinement practicing yoga. And all these people around the world practicing yoga and saying how it changed their psyche, because now they could be peaceful and they could navigate in their body and they could be one with themselves.
Yes.
So for me, one of the epiphanies that I had in all this, practicing meditation, vipassana, was as a human being and as a woman, as a woman, I am a free human being, whether I have a man in my life or not.
Okay.
Now, that was a huge discovery that I took in meditation, out of meditation. And that meant that whether I'm in partnership or whether I'm not in partnership, I am okay. I am not lonely because I appreciate my aloneness.
Right.
So we need to make a difference as we age, a big difference between loneliness and aloneness. The ones who have not cultivated their spirituality will be lonely. They will miss whatever crutches they had to support them, in being joyful. It could have been money, it could have been healthy knees, it could have been a great loving partner, whatever it was. But now it's all gone. What are you going to do? Who are you left with? Well, aloneness is a wonderful possibility to cultivate your inner world, to awaken your inner sun. And so
exactly, and that brings me back to the question of the 8th century Buddhist teachings. Now you see these pictures of the Yab-yum, of the Buddhist enlightened master with a female in his lap, and as far as one of the stories I remember about that is they had consorts with whom they practiced union, with whom they practiced ascension into heightened states of consciousness while being sexual, sort of as a, can you remember God while being sexual? But they also, and this is what Buddhism does a lot of the times, is they take deities in their mind and they focus on this imaginary god or goddess and merge with him or her in their spiritual body to create union. So the polarity is not another person outside of themselves, but it's an imaginary counterpart, like God in the cloth of a fantasy being. Tell me about, do you know anything about that practice and what it does and how it...
So it's the Ishta Devata, they call it. So when you work with a master, and I recommend working with a true master, it always helps and speeds up the process. You work, they choose for you. That's in the traditional tantric aspects of India, but they would choose for you a divinity or a deity that was particularly beneficial for your astrology, your time of birth, and your character. And then you would meditate and you would embody, and we do that in my trainings. We embody that divinity, and that divinity then merges with you, coming through from the crown of your head and becomes one into your body and one with you. So then you embody the qualities of that divinity. You embody the awakenedness of that divinity, and it's a help for your meditation. This was actually the step to my actual awakening, this very practice. So then once you've done that for yourself, you do that with your partner. And so there is a tantric meditation that is the essence of sky dancing tantra, which is exactly this: the Buddha sitting in half lotus and the Dakini sitting on his lap. Both are awakened, and his vajra or penis is inside her yoni or vagina, and they are inside each other, plugged in. And now this is where you rejoin the modern interest in slow sex, because they're plugged in, but they're not making love through friction. They're making love through very slow micro movement that can have their potency because they have mastered the power of their internal musculature. So when she tightens her inner muscles, she holds his vajra very tightly. She feels him very much, and he feels her very much. And then if they do a rotation of the pelvis, a rolling back and forth of the pelvis, very gently and softly in that position, it can be that her clitoris gets excited and her G-spot gets excited, depending on the form of his vajra and the positions that they take, because even in that Yab-yum position, there are 4 variations. So we teach all this in my training, And we teach this to people that are so-called ordinary people. They come, they just want, the only thing you need is the desire to learn, the passion to learn, and to have a double whammy, which is a better sexual orgasm and a better and more complete and more profound awakening.
Absolutely. Yes, because
How better can it be?
awesome.
Probably that's why we're popular.
Yes.
Tantra is popular.
Yeah, and I love that because, you give actually techniques. It's like saying, okay, guys, first of all, to step out of your life, give yourself vacation, go and explore, grow, evolve. And I'm sure you have different levels to different degrees of engagement, so people don't immediately have to think of themselves as having to get naked and have a penis inside of them or a yoni around them of a person they don't know, but they can probably do all these other preliminary steps to grow and discover who they are.
Yes.
And so I love that. It's like, go to seminars, grow. These are our mystical new universities around the planet with mystical teachers like you who are part of this nomadic team traveling the planet, bringing this mystical knowledge and merged Eastern and Western knowledge to everyone around the world. And that's why I'm so grateful you are still doing that at this point in your life. And you have trained people to do it.
You brought the question, what to do
Yes.
when you don't want to take your clothes off.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes.
Imagine that you just, dated this really sensational guy or that's a sensational girl. Well, this is more like a girl approach, but,
okay.
the guy would be willing to do it. So you dated and now you want to somehow take them into Tantra and you don't want to scare them. So you just say, I want to give you a surprise gift for an hour. And if you like it, will you give me one back? And the person says, yes, of course. So then you you prepare the room. So in the room, you have various forms of smells that could be incense or it could be diffusers for essential oils. Then you have a tray in which there is chocolate sauce and strawberries and cognac and grapes and chocolate and a whole array of little bottles with various smells, and also Tibetan singing bowls and other flutes and other drums and other instruments. So you have all of these things that are basically there to address the five senses. Mm-hmm. So then they come in and it's a surprise. So they come in blindfolded, they sit quietly on a pillow, armchair, whatever. And now you tell them, I'm going to take you on a wonderful journey. All you have to do is breathe deeply. Yes. And so you bring under their nose, a wonderful smell. And then you bring, the strawberry dipped in the chocolate, and you run the chocolate. That's actually for the guy to do that in front of the naked woman, or the woman who maybe took her bra off, or even who has a bathing suit on. Mm-hmm. And then you drop the drop of chocolate on her chest, and then you go lick it. And she's blindfolded, and she's laughing and being tickled. And then, you use
awaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have a film on my website in Treasures that shows two wonderful beings doing that step by step.
So Treasures, again, here on your website is the place where people can go to find all these video resources. There is I think it was one, right there. Videos, audio, music, artwork, interviews, where they click. It's a one-time fee. You have access to the trove of training materials you have there. And it gives you access. You can download, you listen, and I don't know how it works, but you actually listen to all these trainings and to your heart's content. So you also, this is part of doing your research about the teacher you want to follow and about the trainings that they offer and the wisdom that they have, is you explore their teachings. And that's what you do here. MargotAnand.com, explore what you have to offer, and then take it home, practice, do something with it, see how it works for you, see how you come alive.
Actually, in that Treasure, there is a film, a series of films that are educational. So each has a module of 20 minutes, and it's like showing you how to use breath to enhance your sexual pleasure. How do you meditate together? And how do you move your orgasmic energy through your chakras? So you have a module of 20 minutes, and then you can press on silent or mute, and you can see the pictures without listening to anything. And then you have another click, which is practice, and then you get you get the practices for that module that are usually 5 to 7 minutes, and so it's a whole educational thing that you can do with your partner.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I will be making sure that this link and also the one for the treasures is here in the sales page right below our link here, so people can get to it and click right away through it. For the people who are listening,
well, they go to the website and they have learn more.
Yep. Okay.
So then they go to learn more, and then they have the presentation, and then they have let's see. Then they have
Margot's treasures. You feel all the choices.
Log in, join us, and then you have all the different videos.
Okay.
And many more things.
Oh, and that's all. So, all that is only for $49. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
80 different things.
Oh my God. Phenomenal. Okay. Courses. So you're giving your store away. That is the best treasure that I have found. That is so awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, we will make sure that that link is also directly. Oh, I see. You have to do it from within the webpage. I see you. I see what you're saying, because it still says Margot Anand with MargotAnand.com. Okay, so tell me about the essence of your teachings where you've been lately in the last couple of years. I mean, you have the sexual side, you have the erotic side, you have the awakening of consciousness side. You've also studied about just pure consciousness with your teacher. What have you discovered in the realms of consciousness? I like to ask everybody because not too many people describe those inner worlds, and you're very articulate. So I'm hoping you can give us a little glimpse of what can be seen, experienced, perceived in those realms of stillness and beyond.
By essence, you enter into silence, and there's nothing more to be perceived, because the perceiver and what is perceived has become one. Okay, so language also disappears, but I can tell you this, that if you go to the roots of the word ecstasy, it's very interesting, because it's ex stare in Latin, and that means to stand outside of yourself, meaning your ordinary self. So you have to take a jump in the unknown, you have to jump outside the box. It's scary, because in a way you disappear as an ego, as a personality.
Right.
So, and then the Greeks is ecstasis, which means, you jump outside of what is static. You discover what is, you open up what is not static. Yes. And so basically, you enter beyond language and beyond words, and you enter into silence, and you enter into spaciousness, and you disappear, because actually you are an illusion. You're just a bunch of atoms and electrons that are floating about in space. And if you took a magnetic microscope and you magnetize a hair or a piece of your skin, you would see that it's nothing but electrons floating in a wave-like form into emptiness, into spaciousness, into space. And so that's what we are.
Exactly. And I think the entire movement that we're on, and the pioneering work everybody has been doing for the last 10,000 years, but including us here, listening, participating, teaching, sharing, is moving from the stasis to the wave, from the particle to the wave consciousness, and to move outside of identity of form into the identity, or that which is beyond form, more like a wave that is simultaneously here as well as there. And yes, that's a beautiful ecstasy description of being beyond static and going into the wave-like form of all spaciousness, or all isness. And yeah, so very cool. Can we end our conversation here, maybe again with that mantra that you had, what it means to be a tantric being, or what is choose with awareness? That one.
Yeah. So Yeah, friends and listeners, I invite you to apply this in your life for the benefit of all sentient beings. Choose with awareness what brings you joy, and it will open the door to your spirit. And
Yes.
sometimes choosing with awareness is not choosing with the mind, but it's choosing when you have been meditating to listen to the still little voice within, which is always there to guide you into what is the best for you.
Yes.
And sometimes that guidance seems to be in contradiction with the desires that are floating about in the mind. But if you choose with awareness and you go to the source and the essence of what is good for you, then you will not be afraid to say no when good manners would call for a yes.
There you go. When
Just
there is a part that should say yes, yeah, when aliveness calls, you actually say yes to the opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you are a living example of being alive and taking the tiger by its tail and riding it through the universe. I absolutely am flabbergastedly in awe about you. So I hope everybody will go to margotanand.com, and then there are the Margot's treasures, and you have a trove of all these teachings. And then, of course, we have the books that you have: The Art of Sexual Ecstasy, God, Love, Sex, and Awakening, the newest one. And let's start with that one, and then go back to the workbook, the Sexual Ecstasy workbook, and then read all the other books to learn techniques, methods, breathing ideas, and understandings of how you can bring sex into your heart and into your cosmic being and awakening.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me on board.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best. And thank you to Dawn for helping.
Yes, I love you too, and I love Don, and I love everybody, and thank you everybody for being here. Spread the word, share this information with people, become an agent of life, of light, of love on this planet, because truthfully, that's the only purpose we have. Thank you so much, Margot, for being here.
Love.
Okay,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.